Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei become a dragon god of Leviathan part 1. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video and also share this video with your friends. I have created my other videos playlist, there you can watch my all videos easily, check out as well. Let's start this video. A blue-haired man with a muscular body was standing outside a mansion with well-made designs and fortified barrier magic surrounding the layout. Knock knock. The man crossed his muscular arms as he waited for the door to be opened. And to his convenience the door was answered. A man with dark brown hair was standing inside the mansion, behind the door. The man's emerald eyes staring deep into the visitor's Atlantic blue orbs. "Ah, welcome Leviathan-sama," greeted the brown-haired man as he welcomed the newly revealed Satan. "Basara, your household is as beautiful as ever," complimented Leviathan with a genuine smile. "You're too kind, my lord," said Basara modestly. Satan giggled and soon entered the beautiful mansion. As Leviathan stepped inside the mansion and scanned the interior, he was greeted by a beautiful woman with whitish blonde hair, very nice curves and a massive bust size. "It is wonderful to meet you again, Leviathan-sama," greeted the busty woman as she bowed her head down with respect. "Raise your head, Helena. I wouldn't want your son to think that I'm a tyrant of some sorts," said Leviathan as he chuckled shortly. "Of course, if it is what you wish," stated Helena with a smile as she raised her head. "Now, where is that ever-growing handsome young man?" asked Leviathan as he looked around the mansion, hoping to spot the son of Basara and Helena. Leviathan looked around the mansion but could not find the boy. He was about to sigh in disappointment until he was called out. "Uncle Leviathan," shouted a young man with light brown hair and brown eyes. It was obvious to Leviathan that the boy had taken a lot from his father, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Leviathan grinned as the boy came crashing down on him, embracing the boy with a hug. "It seems that you are stronger than the last time we met, Issei," said Leviathan with a grin as he and Issei connected their fists. "I've been training hard. I can even do a bit of water magic now," informed Issei as he opened his palm and a sphere of water formed. "That's good. You are slowly becoming a Leviathan in your own way. And keep training your body the way you are right now and the girls won't be able to resist you when you grow up," teased Leviathan as he soon smirked when he saw Issei blush. "I see you're still trying to get my brother to become a Leviathan fanatic, but it'll never happen," said a new female voice, getting Leviathan to look at the voice's direction with a slightly annoyed aura. "I did not realize you were awake, give the true Leviathan his due respect. It is embarrassing to see a member of the family disrespecting Leviathan-sama," said Helena, slightly disappointed in her daughter's rude manners. "Fear not, mother, I shall return to my slumber after a good meal. And I don't care about his due respect, whatever he does to my brother I know that Issei will follow the path of swordsmanship and not wet girly magic," informed the daughter of Helena with clear distaste towards Satan. "Good to see you too, IsseixKaterea," greeted Leviathan sarcastically. "Spare me the sarcasm," said IsseixKaterea as she headed towards the kitchen to make her meal. Leviathan looked to his side to see Issei frowning. He knew that the boy wanted to learn how to use the same magic he did. But he also knew that Issei loved his sister very much, the two went through a tragedy, and that apparently got them closer to each other. "Issei, could you come with me for a bit?" asked Leviathan. "May I ask what for?" asked Helena curiously. "I merely wish to discuss something with the boy," replied Leviathan vaguely. "I see, forgive me for my insolence," apologized Helena as she bowed her head down. "Well?" asked Leviathan as he looked towards Issei. "Sure," replied Issei enthusiastically. Leviathan nodded with a grin as he created a magic circle which teleported both him and Issei. Issei was surprised to see that he had been teleported to Leviathan's office. The boy looked on with awe and praise, as Satan's office looked like the world's best aquarium, with the exception of fish. Leviathan saw this and grinned proudly. "So Issei, how do you like my office?" asked Leviathan curiously, although he already knew the boy's answer. "It's awesome." "Wow, you really take being a Leviathan seriously," replied Issei enthusiastically. "Haha, well anyway, I bet you're wondering why I brought you here, right?" asked Leviathan as he crossed his arms. Issei nodded positively, which gave Leviathan the signal to release a small amount of his aura. This shocked Issei as this powerful aura was almost enough to bring him down on his knees, and Issei knew that Satan wasn't releasing anything close to 5% of his full power. This aura is amazing. But it doesn't seem hostile. It's like a beacon of some sort, thought Issei, still in shock at the sudden outburst of power. Soon enough the Leviathan smiled and refrained from letting any more of his aura leak out. Issei and Leviathan just stood there, silent, until the door to the office burst open. "I have arrived, grandfather," shouted a girl with long brown hair, a pair of glasses and blue-gray eyes. "Good to see you, Katerea. This is Issei Hyoudou, the son of one of my most trusted allies," greeted Leviathan as he introduced Issei. The girl looked at Issei with a slight blush, but soon greeted him. It's nice to meet you, Hyoudou-san. Greeted Katerea as she bowed her head down in respect. Issei blushed at the girl's cute welcome, but the boy controlled his hormones and greeted the girl properly. It's nice to meet you too, Katerea-chan. Greeted Issei. Katerea blushed at the addition of Chan, but this simply made Leviathan grin, as it seemed something was going according to his plans. Now, Issei. The reason I brought you here was because I wanted to introduce you to my nephew, Katerea Leviathan. Stated Leviathan as he grinned. But, why did you want me and this boy to meet grandfather? Asked Katerea curiously as she tilted the staff that she was holding. Well you see, uttered Leviathan nervously before looking towards Issei's direction and grinning. Issei, Katerea here will become your fiancé. Stated Leviathan, not taking no for an answer. Issei looked towards Leviathan for a few moments, and then to Katerea, and then back to Leviathan. Soon the two younglings shouted simultaneously. What? Shouted Katerea and Issei simultaneously. What do you mean she's gonna be my fiancé? Asked Issei shocked. Exactly what it means, the two of you will one day get married and make children. Replied Leviathan with a grin. Grandfather. You can't just make that happen because you desire it. Not even you have the power to do that legally. Argued Katerea with a fact. Leviathan frowned and looked down at the ground, his bangs covering his eyes. Katerea paled a bit after seeing her grandfather like this, she had made him mad. Or so she thought. That's true, uttered Leviathan, getting the hopes of Issei and Katerea up. But both of your parents have already agreed to it. Ha ha ha. Added Leviathan before laughing, with a victorious smirk pasted across his facial structure. And no way. There's no way my mother would agree to a marriage with someone I don't even know. Stated Issei with shock and disbelief. True, but it was your father who agreed to this. Basara Tauju Hyoudou. Informed Leviathan before laughing once again. That father, muttered Issei as he fell on the ground on his knees, defeated. Why am I not surprised? Thought Issei before an image of his father laughing with his arms crossed appeared on his head. So I really am going to marry this boy? Asked Katerea, sounding defeated as well. But even though she wouldn't admit it, she found the boy to be handsome. Oh, only slightly. Said Katerea in her head. But fear not. The marriage will commence once both of you are at the age of 18. And once you are a Devil King, Katerea, Issei will be your greatest warrior and your lover at the same time. Reassured Leviathan, as he stated some reassuring news. That's not reassuring at all. Shouted Issei and Katerea at the same time. 8 years later, Leviathan was sitting inside his office, with full battle armor. A shame that we must attack heaven now of all times. I guess I'll be there for dinner at the very least. Thought Leviathan before a soldier opened the door to his office. Leviathan-sama. Lucifer-sama is calling for you. Informed a devil soldier. Thank you, tell Lucifer that I'll be there soon. Said Leviathan. The soldier nodded before leaving. Leviathan summoned a magic circle which fit perfectly beside his ear. It seemed to be ringing like a cell phone. Hello? Asked a man who seemed to be contacted by Satan. Basara, it's Leviathan. Said Leviathan. He chuckled a bit when he heard Basara's coffee spill from the magic circle or phone in this case. Leviathan-sama. What do you require from me? Asked Basara, regaining his composure. Look, I'm about to gather with the other Satans to prepare for our attack on heaven, and since our opponent is God, I wanted to thank you for your loyalty, your family has served me well. Stated Leviathan with a sad tone, even a devil can develop feelings of camaraderie. Leviathan-sama, you speak as if your death is guaranteed. Muttered Basara slowly. Hey, you know it is. But when Issei learns of my death, tell him it wasn't in vain, because I will not die without taking that old geezer with me. Said Leviathan confidently. He will be sad, but what about his engagement? Basara asked. Oh yeah, when I die, the engagement will definitely be cancelled as I have sponsored it. Replied Leviathan disappointed. And I wanted to see it through as well. The two of them became really good friends too just for the engagement. Stated Basara. Yeah, but maybe this time the man will have to work for his girl, whoever it may be, said Leviathan jokingly. Basara stayed quiet as he couldn't find it within himself to laugh, or even chuckle. Basara, you are relieved of your duties. Stated Leviathan as he retracted the magic circle, disconnecting the call with Basara Hyoudou. Leviathan then exited his office and headed to the battlefield alongside Lucifer, Asmodeus and Beelzebub. The Satans and their armies flew up and entered the massive portal to heaven. The great war that had been going on for years was about to end. Time to die, I suppose. Thought Leviathan as he charged in with his massive army. Basara, you are relieved of your duties. Stated Leviathan as he disconnected his link with Basara Tauju Hyoudou. Leviathan-sama, Leviathan-sama. Shouted Basara as he was shocked at the sudden goodbye. Basara stood up and headed towards the balcony of his mansion, which was on the second floor. He watched from far away, the armies of devils charging into heaven. What caught his eyes though, was a certain man with godly armor and streaks of water surrounding his form. Leviathan-sama, even if you die, my family will serve your descendants and those who hold the title of Leviathan. That is one thing that not even you can take away, Leviathan-sama. Thought Basara as he closed his eyes. But his thoughts were interrupted when a spear of light penetrated his knee. What? Thought Basara before his head was hit by another light spear. From the sky, 10 angels descended. An ambush. The capital is in danger. I'm sorry, Issei, Helena and IsseixKaterea. Thought Basara before his body disintegrated due to the angels. Helena headed to the balcony as she heard some commotion, only to witness the terrifying sight of her husband getting killed by a group of angels. Be Basara. And no, it can't be. Uttered Helena in disbelief as her husband disintegrated. It's the tsunami queen. Kill her quickly. Ordered one of the angels as the group started throwing light spears at the woman. The light spears were all blocked by a wall of water. And no way. Uttered one of the angels. Destroy. Muttered Helena as the water morphed into multiple spears and shot themselves at the angels, killing 6 of them. Only 4 of the angels survived the attack. This was most likely due to their high rank. The angels had 8 wings. Take this. Shouted one of the female angels as she created a massive light spear and threw it at the tsunami queen. Useless. Muttered Helena as she formed a beast of some sort with her water magic and used it to devour the light spear. The angel looked on in horror as the water beast soon ascended and devoured her entire body. Helena quickly dashed towards one of the angels and stabbed them with a sword made out of water from behind. You uttered the angel before he fell on the ground lifeless. Helena faced the other 2 angels to see them chanting some sort of spell, but she wouldn't allow it to happen. Helena unleashed a barrage of water attacks, but there was a powerful barrier surrounding the 2 angels. Are they calling for backup? Thought Helena as she continued thrusting her water spears at the barrier. Their prayers have been answered, my brothers. Stated a man with short brown hair and a beard, 8 wings shining brightly behind his back and a halo above his head. Why are you not in heaven assisting the other angels? Asked Helena, confused at the sudden appearance of the legendary angel. I was part of the ambush team, assigned by my father. But it seems I was too late to save some of them, forgive me, O Lord. Replied the angel as he prayed for forgiveness. Helena looked doubtful, she was not sure she could take this man alone. However, she then saw IsseixKaterea outside the mansion with Issei. Mother. I'm coming. Shouted IsseixKaterea as she quickly summoned multiple of her blades. Me too. Said Issei as he looked like he was about to summon something until his mother interrupted him. No. Both of you stop. I will not have you dying here. IsseixKaterea, take Issei and run. Ordered Helena. Knowing her mother, IsseixKaterea knew that her mother would just scold her if she didn't obey. Fine, replied to IsseixKaterea hesitantly. What? Just like that we can't leave her here. Shouted Issei before he was quickly knocked out by IsseixKaterea as she summoned a blade behind the devil and used its hilt to knock him unconscious. That's a good girl, said Helena with a loving smile. IsseixKaterea formed tears on her eyes as she quickly ran away from their soon-to-be-destroyed mansion. Shall we continue? Asked the angel, who had been patiently waiting for the family and its matters to finish. Yes, I am fully prepared to die fighting you, Son of God, Jesus Christ. Replied Helena as her body was surrounded by water. 20 years later, wake up. If you don't wake up, I'll kiss you. Uttered an alarm with its sundear girl. A boy with light brown hair and brown eyes was waking up. He soon turned his alarm off as it was annoying him to a slight degree. Yo, Issei, wake up. Said a girl with amazing curves, whitish blonde hair, crimson red eyes and a very nice bust size. 1 each and 5 more minutes. Said Issei as he rolled beneath his blanket. You know it's your first day at school. If mother were here she would splash you with water, so you're lucky I'm not all too familiar with that archetype of magic. Retorted IsseixKaterea as she started to pull Issei out of his bed. But I'm 38 years old. Why do I have to go to school? Asked Issei desperately as he tried to get back to bed. You're only 18 in human age. So you have to go to school. Replied IsseixKaterea as she successfully threw Issei onto the cabinet which contained his uniform. Ugh. Fine. Said Issei as he gave up and simply proceeded to put his uniform on. Good breakfast downstairs. Stated IsseixKaterea as she left the room. Geez, she's wearing nothing but a t-shirt and really short shorts. I wonder if she's just teasing me or trying to get me to make a move on her, thought Issei as he removed his shirt. Beneath was a muscular body with 6-pack abs. Issei had a body that girls could die for, but then again so did his sister. Maybe it runs in the family, thought Issei suggestively as he buttoned his uniform and put his shoes on. Partner, you do realize that there are a few devils attending this Kuo Academy, right? Asked a deep menacing voice, but it seemed that only Issei was able to hear him. Of course I do, Drake, maybe you're thinking too little of me again. Need I remind you that I can fight on par with you in your prime state? Replied Issei. Getting Drake to laugh. Ahaha. Your ferocity never ceases to entertain me, partner. Informed Drake as he soon returned to his slumber. Back to sleep so soon. Lazy lizard, thought Issei annoyed. As Issei finished getting dressed and packing up, he proceeded to go downstairs to eat breakfast. Issei looked at the table to see that his sister had made him some tempura, which he was grateful for. "Thanks for cooking my favorite," thanked Issei genuinely as he began to eat the delicious prawn. IsseixKaterea, who was watching TV, smiled at her brother's gratitude. "Well, if you really wanna thank me, how about a kiss?" IsseixKaterea teasingly asked. Issei almost choked on his food but was able to swallow. "Haha, good one," said Issei as he interpreted it as a joke. IsseixKaterea dropped the remote and dashed towards Issei with a small thin dagger. Issei was completely immobilized. "It wasn't a joke," whispered IsseixKaterea as she licked Issei's ear. What the hell?" muttered Issei as IsseixKaterea began laughing and went back to the couch where she was watching TV. "Hey, you there?" called Issei in his thoughts. "Great, he's still asleep," thought Issei as he finished eating his meal and exited the house after saying goodbye to IsseixKaterea. He then proceeded to go towards his school. As Issei was approaching his new school, Kuo Academy, he could feel the presence of a supernatural being, a fallen angel. I'm watching Azazel perhaps," thought Issei as he simply ignored the fallen angel. After a few minutes of walking, Issei had arrived at the gates of his school. There were hundreds of students in the campus, and Issei immediately knew that he would be experiencing hell, ironically. "Wait, is he a student?" asked a female student. "He totally is. He's even wearing the uniform," replied a different female student. "He's so hot," said a female student blushing. Perhaps I can form a harem here," thought Issei. "That would be a massive downgrade, a dragon like yourself should only get the best girls," said Drake as he complimented Issei. "That'd be too much, I don't think of myself as a god of some sort," said Issei in his thoughts as he began walking inside the campus. All of the females were looking at him with lust, while the boys looked at him with jealous eyes. Issei arrived outside of his classroom to be greeted by his teacher. The teacher had told him to wait until he was called so that he may introduce himself properly. "Alright, we have a new student today. You can come in now," called the teacher after settling the class. The slide door was opened, and what came in was an incredibly handsome light brown-haired male student. After seeing Issei come in, the girls all squealed in excitement. "Now, introduce yourself," said the teacher as he gave the boy some chalk. Issei nodded and wrote his name on the board behind him. "My name is Issei Hyoudou. I was born in Europe and have come to Japan interested in its culture. Please take care of me," introduced Issei as he bowed his head down. All of his classmates were impressed by his calm demeanor and manners. "Good job, now I will allow 3 questions for Issei Hyoudou. Make it count," stated the teacher as he opened up a panel for questions. Multiple females raised their hands and so did some boys. Issei looked over to a boy with glasses and picked him as he was raising his hand. The boy smirked as he stood up. "Why did you come here of all places? Did you come to take all of the girls?" asked the boy with a smirk. As he asked this question, the girls in the class looked at him with fire in their eyes. "How dare you try to infect him with your perversion?" shouted one of the girls with pink hair as she tried to hit him with a wooden sword. But was surprised to see that it was blocked before it hit the boy. It was blocked by none other than Issei. "It's alright, I will answer any question given to me," stated Issei as he went back in front. Everyone was surprised to see that their new classmate was skilled with martial arts. "Now, I came here because as I said I am interested in the country's culture. And no, I did not come here to take every girl away. I already have a fiancé," answered Issei as he frowned slightly. "Well, I guess that last part isn't true, not anymore at least," thought Issei, slightly depressed that he was no longer engaged with a beautiful woman. "Oh, he's engaged new," shouted the girls in the class with disappointment as they no longer had a chance with Issei Hyoudou. Issei continued to call another student for their question. He called a female with brown hair and glasses. "So, who exactly are you engaged with? And what are her features?" asked the female, getting Issei to flinch slightly. Damn, I don't even know anymore, it's been ages." Though Issei struggled to answer the question. You're trapped," stated Drake before laughing, much to the annoyance of Issei. "Well, she has massive breasts, beautiful blue-gray eyes and hexy curves," answered Issei, not entirely sure if his answer was correct as Katerea could have changed in the past years. The boys in the class were drooling as they imagined Issei's fiancé, while the girls were jealous. Alright, thanks for the honest answer," thanked the girl as she sat down. "Alright. That's enough, we're going to start the lesson now, please find a seat Mr. Hyoudou," said the teacher as he began writing on the board. Issei nodded as he then found a seat at the back, beside the window. Issei did not listen to the lesson as he already knew most of the lessons that humans teach to other humans. He simply stared outside the window, waiting for something exciting to happen. "Mr. Hyoudou, could you please answer this equation?" called the teacher as he noticed Issei was not listening. Issei stood up and answered the problem easily. Once finished he went back to his seat. The teacher and the entire class was surprised to see that Issei, who was supposedly not listening, answered the hardest problem with ease. "Good job, Mr. Hyoudou," complimented the teacher as he continued with the lesson. Soon enough, classes ended and it was time to take a break. Issei headed outside the building and sat under a tree, devouring the tempura his sister made for him. Ah, if there's one thing that sis does right, it's tempura. Thought Issei joyfully as he swallowed his food. Issei was about to eat another one until he saw someone looking at him. Issei looked at the direction it was coming from. It seemed to be coming from one of old school buildings, one where the supposed occult research club was located. When Issei looked over to the building, he saw a red-haired beauty looking at him, her hair flowing with the air. If I'm not mistaken, that's Ria's Gremory of the Gremory household. Thought Issei as he stared right into her eyes. You got that right, partner. There is no mistake, I can sense the aura of a devil within her. Said Drake informatively. Issei watched as the devil closed the window, further denying Issei's side of her. Well, at least I have my privacy now, thought Issei as he was about to start eating again, until he saw from far ahead that multiple girls were running towards him. Crap. Said Issei as he quickly packed his food and began running away. Ria's pav, that boy, he's definitely not human, thought Riaz as she stared at the handsome young man from inside her clubroom. Find anything interesting, Riaz? Asked a raven-haired beauty with purple eyes and a bigger bust size compared to Riaz. Yes, this new student. Do you happen to know his name, Akeno? Asked Riaz as she closed the window and sat down on a couch. Him? I believe it was Issei Hyoudou, Class 2B, replied Akeno as she placed 2 cups of tea on the table. Thank you. Thanked Riaz as she grabbed a cup of tea and drank it. Kindly have Kaneko investigate. Ordered Riaz as she sipped on her tea. Understood, Riaz. Replied Akeno as she went to do her master's bidding. Hopefully you're strong, Issei Hyoudou, thought Riaz hopefully. But it never occurred to her that this certain devil might have been too strong for her. Issei had hidden from the dozens of girls that ran after him, but he was safe within a locker. What the hell is up with these girls? Thought Issei, panting softly. Knowing you already have godly looks naturally, adding the boosted gear's natural ability to attract the opposite sex. It is only natural that humans have no resistance whatsoever to your charms. Explained Drake, getting Issei to smirk a bit. Well, if you put it like that, thought Issei as an image of a massive harem appeared in his perverted head. What you're imagining right now isn't impossible, in fact the chance of you obtaining a massive harem is quite high. Stated Drake, getting Issei to blush even more perversely. As Issei was imagining his harem, an image of a certain brown-haired female giggling appeared. Ah! Shouted Issei as he then looked down at his pants to see his shaft, pulsing. Did you seriously get turned on by the giggle of Katerea Leviathan, but not when imagining a massive harem? Asked Drake, dumbfounded. Don't judge me. Said Issei in his head before pawing at the sight of a few females roaming the area. Damn, where did he go? I really wanted to eat with him, said a female student. I know, right. Then we could have fed him. Said another female, disappointed. What other twisted fantasies do they have about me? Thought Issei as he sighed, waiting for the right time to get out. As Issei's break time had finished, he went through the rest of the classes. After class, many clubs wanted to recruit him, but Issei couldn't decide yet. Due to this, he decided to proceed back to his home, as he had nothing else to do at school. It was getting late, and Issei wanted to get home quickly for breakfast. But he stopped walking at a small bridge to check his messages on his phone until he noticed the very same fallen angel presence he felt earlier. But this time it was approaching him. Issei looked to his right to see a pretty raven-haired student with purple eyes. She was definitely from another school, as Issei got a close-up look on the female attire of Kuo Academy, much to his disdain. You're Issei Hyoudou, right? Asked a girl, blushing, but Issei could tell it was forced. I can sense evil intentions from her, she's probably trying to get close to you just to kill you later on. Stated Drake informatively. Yeah, I can tell. Said Issei in his head, but he decided he would play along. Why yes. Replied Issei, with incredible acting. Hahaha. I almost forgot you were an incredible actor. Said Drake as he laughed at his partner's talent. That's great. Would you like to go out with me? Offered the fallen angel. Ah, so a date is her course of action, thought Issei amused. You should accept it, she has a pretty nice rack. And I'm sure Albion would give his opinion on her ass if he was here. Suggested Drake, adding some extra details. So you're the breast dragon emperor, while Albion is the butt dragon emperor? Hahaha. Thought Issei as he laughed inside his head, struggling to keep himself from laughing in the real world. Don't say anything like that again, for some reason that name makes me depressed, said Drake as he decided to shut up. Are really sure? Replied Issei as he accepted the offer. The fallen angel perked up, but once again it was forced. Thank you so much. Does Sunday sound alright? Asked the fallen angel. Issei nodded his head saying yes. Great. I guess I'll see you on Sunday. We'll meet by the mall. Sorry, but I have to go now. Said the fallen angel as she began going in the opposite direction of Issei. You still haven't told me your name. Said Issei, slightly insulted. Does she think that I'm so desperate that I'd go on a date with someone whose name I don't even know? Thought Issei. It's Yuma. Replied the fallen angel as she ran off with a fake smile. Heh. Hopefully IsseixKaterea and Katerea won't mind. Thought Issei. You're not engaged with the descendant anymore, she wouldn't mind even if she were here. Said Drake bluntly. Issei pouted but continued walking back to his home. Underworld, a beautiful girl with long, black hair tied into twin tails, was humming a tune as she was walking towards the office of a certain devil. IsseixChan. Are you there? Asked the girl with a smile on her face. The doors opened and revealed the Crimson Satan, Isseix's. Having the appearance of a man in his early 20s with shoulder-length crimson red hair and blue-green eyes, he looked almost exactly like his sister, Ria's Gremory. Serafal, I see you've received my message. Said Isseix's as he welcomed the fellow inside. Yep. You said it was important, so since I had nothing to do I came immediately. Informed Serafal as she stepped inside the office and took a seat. Isseix's closed the doors and took a seat as well. So. What's so important that we had to talk in private? Asked Serafal with a cheerful tone. Serafal, do you remember one of the old devil households, the Hyoudou household? Asked Isseix's with a serious face. After hearing this, Serafal formed a serious face as well. Yes, I do. Why do you ask? Replied Serafal, asking another question. Some of the spies I sent over to watch over my baby sister reported some interesting news, informed Isseix's as he took out some files. Serafal took the files and opened one, reading the content. Rias has taken interest in making one of Kuo Academy's new students Issei Hyoudou, uttered Serafal as she read the file. Perhaps it could just be a coincidence. I mean, there might be some human families with the name Hyoudou, right? Suggested Serafal, in slight disbelief. That's what I thought at first, but what if he is a member of the Hyoudou household? Would you take him in as your personal bodyguard? Asked Isseix's curiously. Serafal thought really carefully and decided on her answer. I mean, the Hyoudou household should be loyal to the Leviathans, right? So if he decides to pledge his loyalty to me, then I'll gladly accept his services. Replied Serafal with a cheerful face. Isseix's smiled at this. That would be very beneficial for us. The Hyoudou household was one of the most powerful back in the day, but they were mostly known for ending the life of Jesus Christ himself. Said Isseix's informatively. Serafal nodded at this. We shall wait and see then. If he does turn out to be a member of the Hyoudou household, we'll get him to join us. Said Isseix's. Time skip, Sunday. Issei was going through his clothes, choosing the best one for his date with the fallen angel. The one who called herself Yuma. You know, I could pick your clothes for you. I do know your body well and I'm a girl. Suggested IsseixKaterea with a slight bit of tease. Issei looked at her with an uninterested face. No, you're my sister. I'm not interested in you at all, said Issei bluntly. IsseixKaterea appeared to have a tick mark on her head as she then pointed a sword at Issei's neck, making him flinch. Not interested at all. Do you realize how much that sentence pisses my body off? Asked IsseixKaterea with an annoyed face. Issei chuckled weakly as he raised his arms up in surrender. You were the best host I've ever had. And now you're gonna die. I'm sorry I failed your partner. Sobbed Drake jokingly. Oh, shut up. Said Issei in his head. Issei had arrived at the location of his supposed date. He was waiting for Yuma by a fountain until he was approached by some cosplayers. A familiar. Thought Issei accepted the piece of paper given to him, but he knew it was a contract. It seems the Gremory girl is making her move on you. Said Drake. Yeah, but does she expect to make me her servant? I mean, a high-class devil won't be able to turn an ultimate class like me into her servant. Though Issei was confused. Well, some people are desperate. She just happens to be one of them, and besides, you're hiding your true strength, so nobody knows how powerful you really are. Stated Drake. I guess that's true, thought Issei before the sight of Yuma brought him back to reality. Issei. You really came. Did I keep you waiting? Greeted Yuma sweetly. Ah, no, I actually just got here. Replied Issei before grinning. I've always wanted to say that. Thought Issei happily. Well, let's start, shall we? Suggested Issei as he offered Yuma his hand. Yuma blushed before happily grabbing Issei's hand. The two went through a mall, an aquarium and a few restaurants and stores, and they then arrived at a park with a fountain at dusk. Issei assumed that this was the time where Yuma would try to do something supernatural. Issei walked with Yuma, their hands connected. They arrived in front of a fountain at an empty park, where Yuma suddenly broke off their hands and headed closer to the fountain with her purse in hand. She's making her move. Though Issei was excited. Best not to be too confident, what if she turns out to be a fallen angel leader? Asked Drake, giving a possible situation. The fallen angel leader wouldn't be so inexperienced at hiding their aura. Said Issei in his head as he then watched Yuma turn to him with a smile. I really had fun today, said Yuma with a cheerful tone. Yeah, this was the best date ever. Said Issei, obviously acting. Can I ask you a question? In order to honor our first date, there's something I'd like you to do to commemorate this special moment. Asked Yuma as she approached Issei. Sure, I'll do anything. Replied Issei with a fake blush, but it looked convincing. Partner, said Drake with a warning tone. Wait for it, said Issei in his thoughts. Would you die for me? Asked Yuma with a deeper, more mature voice. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I think there's something wrong with my ears today, uttered Issei, still acting. Yuma grinned as she then whispered to his ear, I want you to die for me. Ahahaha. Laughed Yuma as she then began to take the form of a fallen angel. Ah, so this is how she ends her little act. Amusing. Thought Issei as she acted like he was shocked and fell to the ground. Well, I have to admit I did have some fun today. Considering how naive and childish you are, things could have been much worse. And thanks for the gift, by the way, very sweet. But, even so, said Yuma as she summoned a spear that was glowing. Naive and childish. I wonder how she would react to seeing my true state, thought Issei darkly. Don't get carried away, partner. Said Drake, getting Issei to come back to his senses. It's time to die. Said Yuma as she threw the light spear towards Issei. But she was suddenly shocked, she saw that her light spear hadn't pierced Issei's stomach. Issei was holding the light spear with 2 of his fingers. What? How are you holding that? You're just a mere human. Said Yuma, surprised. I was expecting a 4-winged fallen angel at the very least, but hell, this is even more disappointing than I expected. Said Issei, disappointed. Wyu? Uttered Yuma before throwing 2 more light spears, but Issei blocked them with his left arm as he activated something that filled Yuma with pure fear. Boost. Shouted the boosted gear as a gauntlet formed on Issei's left hand. Be boosted gear, nobody told me that you held the boosted gear. Stuttered Yuma as she flew away in panic. Sorry, but I can't let you go now that you've seen my boosted gear. Stated Issei as he released his devil wings to add even more fear to her spirit. She was facing not only the wielder of the boosted gear, but also an ultimate class devil. Why you wield the boosted gear and you have 10 wings, uttered Yuma with shock. Issei smirked as he flew up and smashed Yuma down to the ground. The crater had been formed at the fountain, the fallen angel was unconscious due to the hit. Issei landed and retracted his devil wings. Well, time to die, I guess. Said Issei, bored as he created a magic circle beneath Yuma and released a blast of energy. Her body had completely disintegrated. As soon as all of the damage had been fixed, Issei proceeded to return to his home. His sadistic side was disappointed, but his normal side was just purely bored and tired. You know, you didn't have to use the boosted gear, said Drake, confused. True, but I wanted to show her fear, so I released my devil wings and used you, and besides, I haven't used the boosted gear in a while. Stated Issei as he shrugged. The magic circle appeared at the very same park where the battle between Issei and Yuma had commenced, although it wasn't really much of a battle. As the magic circle's light died down, it revealed Ria's Gremory and Akeno Himejima. No, I was too late, muttered Ria as she saw that neither Issei nor the fallen angel was in the park. I guess we should have arrived earlier. I'm sorry, Rias. Comforted Akeno. Ria shook her head and prepared another magic circle to return to their previous location. The next day, please wake up. I don't want to be alone, said a sad cute girl, until Issei turned off his alarm. Nissan isn't coming to wake me up? Thought Issei as he rubbed his sleepy eyes. Well, you know what that means, said Drake as he cut off his connection with Issei. Oh no, thought Issei before a blue magic circle appeared on the floor. As the light died down, it revealed a beautiful and attractive young woman with a voluptuous figure, long black hair with split bangs, and hazel gold eyes with cat-like pupils. Hey Kuroka, what are you doing here? Asked Issei, surprised to see the wanted devil. Nah, is it so bad that I want to see my little Issei? Your sis allowed me to come and visit since it's my day off. Replied Kuroka as she got closer to Issei and wrapped her body around his, which made him blush. Hey wait, day off? What is your job anyway? Asked Issei curiously. Nah, you didn't know? Nah, haha, well I guess I'll just keep it a surprise. Replied Kuroka, not revealing her job. Well, I need to get dressed so said Issei before being pushed down on the bed by Kuroka. Leaving so soon? How about you just be absent for today and we can have some fun here? Suggested Kuroka as she pulled down her kimono slightly, revealing more cleavage. I don't think Ni-san would like that very much, stated Issei nervously. Don't worry, I already put down a magical barrier with my, only Satan class beings will be able to get through that. Reassured Kuroka as she then took off her kimono, revealing her beautiful skin and big bouncy breasts to Issei. Shit. Going into overdrive. Thought Issei as his shaft was about to burst out of his pants zipper. At least some part of you wants me. Said Kuroka teasingly as she looked at Issei's bulging pants. Ah, to hell with this, said Issei as he took his shirt off, revealing his incredible body and six-pack. Making Kuroka blush hard. As Issei and Kuroka had finished with their session, the two got dressed and proceeded downstairs. Kuroka was walking down with a smile of satisfaction on her face, while Issei sighed. Hoi. Issei, why didn't you go to school? Asked IsseixKaterea slightly irritated. I was distracted. I'm going now. Replied Issei as he quickly grabbed his packed food and got out of the house. Kuroka looked at the door which Issei had exited and smiled. You look pretty happy, Kuroka-chan. Did something happen? Asked IsseixKaterea curiously. Nah. Nothing happened, you're just hallucinating. Replied Kuroka as she then sat down at the table and began to eat. IsseixKaterea looked at the Nekomata devil confused. Issei was walking pretty fast as he was going to be late for school if he didn't hurry. As he was walking down in the center of the town, he heard a high-pitched yelp. He looked to his right to see a short blonde and petite girl had tripped over clumsily. It seems like she had a nun outfit. A nun? Quite a dangerous place for someone from the church. Thought Issei as he simply continued walking, minding his own business. He looked behind once again to see that a tall female with navy blue hair and yellow eyes helped her up and began walking away with her. Issei could sense that the female was a fallen angel. Are you feeling the need to help that girl? Because I am, she must have an affinity with dragons. Said Drag. An affinity with dragons. How come I don't feel anything for that girl? Asked Issei in his head. Maybe it's because you're sadistic, or maybe you have some high resistance to her affinity. Replied Drag, somewhat jokingly. That's not very nice, thought Issei as he was getting close to his school. It was a joke, partner. Stated Drag as he chuckled at his host's seriousness. Issei sighed after hearing this and just continued walking. As Issei arrived at his school, he noticed that there were no students outside. Which meant that he was late. Hurriedly Issei ran towards the building and headed for class immediately. Issei ran through the hallways with unfathomable speed and quickly arrived at his classroom's door. Getting ready to apologize, he entered the room and immediately bowed his head down. I'm very sorry. I was late due to some personal matters. Apologized Issei, getting all of his classmates and his teacher to look at him with shock. But they weren't shocked because of his apology, they were shocked at something else. Is something wrong? Asked Issei as he looked up to see everyone looking at him with wide eyes. And no, it's just you weren't dead. Asked a teacher as if he had seen a ghost. What? Why would I be dead? Asked Issei confused as he began scratching his head. The student council announced that you had been a victim of a terrible car crash. I will report this immediately. Excuse me. Replied the teacher as he exited the classroom and headed to the student council office. Issei sighed as he then took a seat, waiting for his teacher to return. His classmates were all asking questions. The girls mostly asked if he was okay, while the boys were telling him that he should have died. Issei just waved the questions off, saying that he was never in a car crash accident and that he was home the entire time. The class heard the door to the classroom open, so everybody immediately returned to their seats. But to everyone's surprise, it wasn't their teacher that came in their classroom, it was Ria's Gremory. Ria-senpai. What brings you to our classroom? Asked one of the girls. Ria simply raised her hand at her, telling her to keep quiet. The girl obeyed. Ria soon pointed her hand towards Issei. I need you to come with me. Said Ria as she pointed her finger at Issei. Ah, I understand now, thought Issei as he stood up. Me? What for? Asked Issei curiously. We have some important matters to discuss with you, you will be excused from your classes for today. Replied Riaz as she approached him and grabbed his hand, pulling him out of the classroom. Hey. Where are you taking me? Asked Issei as he was being dragged through the school hallways. I will explain everything once we get to the clubroom. Replied Riaz as they entered the old school building. As Riaz had gotten Issei inside her clubroom, she offered him a seat, which he accepted. Oh my, why did you bring him here, Riaz? Asked Akeno curiously. He should have died from that fallen angel, but yet here he is. Replied Riaz as she took a seat on the opposite couch to Issei's. Fallen angel? What are you talking about? Asked Issei, playing dumb. Issei Hyoudou, do you know about devils, angels and fallen angels? Asked Riaz as she took a cup of tea from Akeno. She also nodded to the two people that entered the clubroom, Hyoudou Kiba and Kaneko Taoju. Yeah. Replied Issei. Well, to make it simple, we're devils. Stated Riaz as she and the rest of the devils in the room released their wings. Only one pair for all of them? That makes them pretty weak. Thought Issei as he analyzed each of them. Wait, why are you telling me this? Asked Issei confused. Before I answer that, I need you to answer a few of my questions first. Said Riaz as she put her cup of tea down. Issei looked around him to see that they were forming some kind of barrier, they weren't planning on letting him go, and they were keeping their guard up. Now, tell me, how did you survive your encounter with that fallen angel? Asked Riaz as she narrowed her eyes. I don't know, I didn't have an encounter with a fallen angel. Replied Issei looking confused. Riaz got slightly irritated. Don't lie to me. We know that the fallen angel you went on a date with planned on killing you, so you must have done something to prevent that. Stated Riaz as she crossed her legs. Issei was impressed by this girl's boldness, she didn't even know who she was messing with yet she's so confident. Issei sighed as he crossed his legs as well and cracked his knuckles. Well, you're certainly confident, princess, said Issei as he looked at Riaz with serious eyes. Riaz flinched a bit at this, and the other members of her peerage got cautious. I see no reason to answer your questions, Gremory. So how about you convince me? Suggested Issei before Kiba pointed his sword at his throat. Kiba, wait. Ordered Riaz as Kiba then put his sword away. Issei grinned at the knight's actions. What can I do that'll make you talk? Asked Riaz seriously. I want to see your dedication, so how about you strip for me? Replied Issei, getting everyone else in the room to get ready to fight. Riaz looked at Issei disgusted. Ahahaha. Just kidding. Said Issei as he laughed. Everyone was confused at Issei's actions, but decided to calm down for a bit. I was just messing with you, go on then, ask away. Added Issei with a smirk. Riaz hesitantly nodded and sat down. So, how did you stop the fallen angel from killing you? Asked Riaz curiously. Simple, I killed her. Replied Issei quickly. Riaz was shocked for a moment but decided to continue. What are you exactly? You're definitely not human. Said Riaz as she asked her next question. Half devil, half dragon. Replied Issei with a grin of pride. Everyone looked at Issei with shock, awe and caution. You're a devil. What household are you from? Asked Riaz curiously. One of the old households extinguished from the last Great War, the Hyoudou household. The very same one that killed Jesus Christ. Replied Issei as he stood up and revealed his 10 devil wings. D10 uttered Riaz with fear, the other devils were also affected by this massive power. Seeing their reactions, Issei smirked as he retracted his wings. I believe that's all I will answer for now, I must be going. Stated Issei as he left the room of shocked devils. Underworld, Xerxes was drinking some coffee as he was going through some reports. Until he heard somebody knock at his door. Come in. Said Xerxes as he allowed the visitor to enter. Xerxes-sama. I have urgent news. Stated the soldier that entered the office. What is it? Asked Xerxes slightly interested. We have received confirmation of Issei Hyoudo's origins, he is indeed a member of the original bloodline. Reported the soldier. Xerxes nearly spilled his coffee on the report, he then fixed himself and smiled. It seems that Serafo will be getting a new bodyguard after all. Muttered Xerxes happily as a small magic circle appeared on his right ear. Issei was walking back home as it was actually pretty late already. But as Issei was walking back, he noticed a few supernatural auras at the church nearby. He could feel the aura of devils and fallen angels. Ah, so Riaz has made a move on the rogue fallen angels, thought Issei as he continued to walk home. You know, IsseixKaterea is going to kill you for all of the things you've revealed today, stated Drag honestly. Why do you say that? Asked Issei in his head. Your arrogance has gotten the best of you once again. You not only revealed that you were part of the Hyoudou household, but also that you were an ultimate class devil. Scolded Drag. Issei pouted at this. Hey. I didn't think it would do any harm, I mean, so what if they know I'm an ultimate class? Argued Issei in his thoughts. She probably sent a report over to her brother, Xerxes Lucifer. Either they try and do something with you for the benefit of the devil race or they erase you. Replied Drag, sounding irritated. Let them try, I almost beat Office once. No ordinary devils can defeat me. Thought Issei as he arrived at his home. The next day, Issei was at school, looking outside the window of his classroom. He was utterly bored until he was called by someone who entered his classroom. I'm looking for Issei Hyoudou. Stated a young man who was also known as Genshiro Saji. Ah, Mr. Hyoudou, please follow Mr. Saji here. Said the teacher. Issei sighed as he nodded and followed the young devil. He's the wielder of Vritra, isn't he? Asked Issei in his head. Indeed, but it seems he isn't awakening due to the fact that he was split into multiple sacred gears. Replied Drag. Issei then noticed that he had arrived at the door to the student council office. We're here. Said Saji as he opened the door. Saji and Issei stepped inside to see the student council president, Sona Shitori. Ah, thank you for bringing him here, Saji. Thanks Sona as Saji nodded and sat down on one of the couches. Please, take a seat. Offered Sona to Issei Hyoudou. Issei nodded as he accepted the offer. Issei Hyoudou, I heard from Riaz that you were a member of the Hyoudou household which killed Jesus Christ. Is that correct? Asked Sona curiously. Indeed it is there a problem with that? Replied Issei as he asked a question. Not at all, in fact it is the reason you were brought here. To fulfill your duty as a member of the Hyoudou household. Replied Sona as she stared directly at Issei. This confused Issei as he never really had any duty. What duty? Asked Issei curiously. Sona was about to reply until a female with some magical girl costume appeared from a magic circle. Your duty to loyally serve the Leviathan, of course. Answered Serafo Leviathan, one of the current mags. Thanks for watching this video. Part 1 is over. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. And also check out the playlist that I have created and enjoy. Link is in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.